Guys, RTA season is finally over, and that means one very important thing that many of us have been waiting months and months and months for is the new balance patch. I'm excited, but I'm also kind of holding back my excitement because every time there's a balance patch, I'm excited for all the changes and potentially bad units to be great and super OP units to be like a little bit calmed down a little bit. But I'm usually disappointed. Like I feel that every time like we do the videos, I'm excited for the videos. I'm like, yeah, everything is great now. And then after the video, I'm like, no, it's not. They didn't buff this. They didn't buff that. They didn't buff that. And all these things that we're waiting on buffs for that they forget about. So let's take a look at this monster balance patch. I'm excited. I think that we may see some fun things, but I'm a little hesitant to be too excited. So let's stop talking and let's actually see it. Okay. So first one. Light Onimusha. Already nerfing the Light Onimusha. Bang head against the brick wall. I mean, a lot of people were saying that they want the Light Onimusha nerf, so, I mean, that's fair. Counteracts the target if the damage you receive from the enemy is less than 25%, is now less than 15%. I feel like this is fair. I feel like this is a valid, because he still can't get crit on, right? So I feel like this is valid for a balance on the Light Onimusha. I think I have less problems with him than others do. But I think this is a fair thing. I think we mentioned this in the other video. I have no problems with this. Dark Desert Queen. Deadly Charm passive. Silences the target for one turn whenever you attack. Now silence the target for one turn if you attack the enemy with harmful effects. She already does harmful effects. And other things that, you know, usually go with the Dark Desert Queen have harmful effects. So there's a little bit of a nerf to the Dark Desert Queen. I have one on the LD only account. So I'll see how I feel about this after the fact. But yeah. Ryu Strike. Okay. Water and Light. Water and Light Ryu. Okay, so a lot of people were asking for a Water Ryu nerf. Removes beneficial effect was a 30% chance, now 20% chance. Mine already does the strip. I personally didn't really think that the Water Ryu needed a nerf. I think that people, because I like to play with him a lot, right? So I think that people that I play against, I noticed a lot of people that are actually pretty good at countering the Water Ryu without needing a nerf. I know he's strong, but I didn't think he was really broken. So at least, I mean, it's not a crazy... I mean, it's not a crazy thing, but I don't know. We'll see it. Because, you know, this happened with Mo Long, too. It's like, oh, Mo Long got a nerf. And then, like, Mo Long's like, oh, Mo Long is not a thing anymore. And then Mo Long is now a thing because, you know, there's Akromas and there's Kakis and there's... Not Kinkis, Akromas and Kinkis and whatever. But Water and Light, poor Light Ryu owners, because he doesn't have the speed really, right? The Water one does. Ken, okay, so they nerfed the Ken / Shadowclaw. Oh, the same thing, just the skill to the strip. Okay, Light Ryu Striker, increased damage by 7%. Very exciting, but that's to make up for the fact that they nerfed it. Ken and Shadowclaw increased damage by 4%. On the Shinryuken Shadow Blade. I think that is the skill 3, if I recall correctly. Water M Bison. Okay, Water M Bison actually gets a buff. You guys see that? I mean, it's low, but I think you guys can see that, unless you're watching this on a phone, in which case you're listening to it, aren't you? Water M Bison Water Slayer destroys the enemy's max HP by 50%. This is his passive. Destroys HP by 50% of the damage dealt. Now, after attacking, destroys the enemy's max HP by 50% of the enemy's lost HP. So I think the situation here before was, because didn't we try him and he was only doing things based on his destroyed HP, and now it is based on any destroy HP. I think that's the situation here. So that's the whole buff. That's the whole buff, guys. That's the whole buff. Okay. That's the whole buff. Fire Ryu and Fire Striker. Passive activation condition ease. That's fair. Increase the attack power condition that increase the chance of landing a glancing hit. So just the numbers on the back end in the code so that it's easier with less attack power. It's easier to get glanced on, right? So I think that's fair. I think that's nice. Nice buff. Wind Ryu and Striker triple combo. Attack will not land as a glancing hit for the skill 3. So that's the one that does a strip, a defense break, and then a big nuke on top of that. So it cannot glance now. So against things like Molly's, it's still going to be strong. It still does need to like strip and defense break and then to actually get the nuke. But one of the things that I noticed some people were doing is bringing the Lauren in with him. And then the Lauren has to strip and defense break. If she doesn't land it, he can strip and defense break after that. So this is just something that I noticed people using him with the Lauren. But I mean, you can kind of almost use anything. At that point, you can almost use anything because if she strips and defense breaks. But another thing is, like, if she doesn't strip and defense break, then he still can strip and defense break as well. So you have 2 different chances to strip and defense break. And if you don't get either of those, then COM2US just doesn't want you to win. That's the situation there. Okay. Wind a Cult Girl. Wind Guardian Angel increase the attack bar of all allies by 20%. Is now 30%. So a little buff to Wind a Cult Girl. Fun fact that Wind a Cult Girl, she does so many multi-hits. It's actually not bad with additional damage artifacts because, you know, extra hits. And she's actually gotten popular in the higher ranks of RTA. I don't know how they don't get Vertiheals picked against them. Like, I see so many of them in gameplay, and I'm like, if I was to use the Wind a Cult Girl, the first thing that the enemy would pick is Vertiheal. I'm like, I could not pick that without How are you guys not getting Vertiheal picked on you? I don't even understand. But whatever. Wind a Cult Girl gets a buff, which is nice. Especially if you use her in other things aside from RTA, for example. Water Dragon Knight. Flow passive. As these gains immunity against HP recovery disturbance effect. Removes 1 harmful effect except inability effects and recovers 15% HP at the end of your turn. Also, the damage you deal will be increased according to your current HP. To B, gains immunity against HP recovery. Removes 1 harmful effect except inability effects. Recovers 15% at the start of your turn. Also, damage you deal will be increased according to your current HP. Isn't that the same thing? Hold on. Hold on. What exactly is the difference? Oh, the start of your turn instead of the end of your turn. So he heals first and then... Okay, so like, for example, if he's got a continuous damage on him, then he heals and then the continuous damage ticks off. Or like if he's got a bomb on him, then he heals and then the bomb detonates. I guess that's the situation from what it looks like. Maybe I'm wrong. Water Ifrit! Theomar's buff. Okay, Elemental King passive. Decrease cooldown time by 6 turns! 6? That's a huge decrease! That's a huge... I mean, there's so many strips that it almost does it. Like, I don't know if that's going to make him super meta. But that's a huge decrease for him. 6 turns. 6 turns. Fire Monkey King. Okay. So 6 turns. If you guys love using the Theomars, he just got a 6-turn buff on his passive. Anyway, Fire Monkey King Gold Headband passive. Increase your resistance by 5%. Is now 10%. Accumulates up to 10 times. Wasn't it 5% 20 times? And now it's 10% 10 times. Okay, just to give the Fire Monkey extra resistance faster. On Miyuji. Oh, on Miyuji. I don't know why I thought it was... Okay, on Miyuji, Karma. Fantastic. This needed to be changed. Enhance the suppression harmful effect. As is, attacks the enemy target, suppress the target, excluding the boss for 2 turns. Suppressed target will have HP reduced by 50% if target uses skill with cooldown. And now it is attacks the enemy target, suppresses, excluding the boss for 2 turns. Suppressed target will have HP cooldown. Use skills cooldown be increased by 3 turns more than the maximum cooldown time. What? The use skills cooldown time will be... Oh! Okay, here's what it is. So, if Oki uses a... If we suppress Okeanos, right? And then he uses a skill 2, the strip and the reset. Him using the skill 2, his cooldown will be increased. So it's 3 extra turns more than it normally would be for the... what is this skill 2 cooldown? Like 3 turns or something? Like, listen, I don't know the Oki skill 2 cooldown off the top of my head. But like, let's say, for example, it's 3 turns. Now it's 6 turns before he gets it again. So that's interesting. I don't think that's what it needed. But at least they're trying. At least they're acknowledging the fact that Karma is... I think that could be cool for a different skill. But I don't think that's what Karma needed. Anyway, really punishing things for using cooldowns. Wind on Music Comeuppance passive. At least they're addressing things that the community has been complaining about. I'll give them credit for that. Like, I want to try to make sure that even if I'm angry at COM2US, because I've been angry at COM2US all day today, but if they are addressing things that need to be addressed, I'll at least give them credit for addressing things that need to be addressed, even if I don't think it's the right ones. At least they're trying to do something, right? So, and we'll see. Maybe it does make it super good, and I don't know what I'm like, and I just don't see it. Maybe I don't see the vision, but it could be great, right? So come up, it's passive as this recovers attack bar by 25% if an enemy uses a skill with cooldown time. Cooldown time of Karma resets if the suppress effect ramped down the enemy gets activated. And 2B recovers 25% of attack bar and decreases cooldown time of Karma by 1 turn each if an enemy uses skill with cooldown time. So I mean, it's still, I see where they're going with this, but I still don't think that that's what she specifically needed, but I see, she's definitely going to be more useful now against some of those turn cycle teams. So we'll see, I guess. We'll see. So let's see. Dark Panda Warrior, Almighty Strength. Dark Panda Warrior got a buff. Change to recover the HP even from the damage dealt by counterattack. Recover HP by 30% of the damage dealt. Okay, so just a little buff to the Dark Panda Warrior. Jack-o'-lanterns. These are the ones where it's like they stick some random monster in there that no one's like, hey, buff this, nerf this. And they're like, you know what needs a buff? Random stuff. This is the random stuff. Okay, Water Jack-o'-lantern, Cunning passive. Effect added, recovers your HP by 10% for each beneficial effect you steal from the enemy. The chilling buff that nobody necessarily asked for. That chilling is actually not bad. Well, chilling has never really been bad, but I think chilling is kind of underrated unit. That people should maybe use more because he's pretty good. Well, actually, okay. Here's my thoughts. Chilling on revenge versus things like Fire Art Master and things like that, right? So the multi-hits, it's a slow, and it's also steal, the speed buff, and an attack power buff. So that could be an interesting counter to the Fire Art Master. Yeah, that could be an interesting counter to, well, I mean, not just him, but some other stuff as well. Jack-o'-lantern, Wind Jack-o'-lantern, Shadow of the Moon. Effect added becomes immune against defense breaks. The Wind Jack-o'-lantern now cannot be defense broken. There's not very many units that can't be defense broken. There's the fire, well, there's a chroma too. Everyone always likes to mention the chroma because they're like, Bagel, you forgot a chroma. Fire martial artist, and then the water Frankenstein cannot be defense broken. Now, the Wind Jack-o'-lantern is another one that can't be defense broken. That could be potentially interesting. Okay. Tanky unit. Not saying put him on arena defense. I'm just saying. That could be an interesting thing to take into, like, when you're... Yeah, it really could be interesting. I could see him maybe being used a little bit more now. Or at all. He doesn't really get used at all. Neostone Fighter Water Dagger Dash. Effect added. Attack guaranteed land is a critical hit. Changed. As is. Swiftly attacks the enemy 3 times. Each attack having... inflicting continuous damage for 1 turn. If the attack lands a critical hit, disturb the target's HP. It will be the same. It increases your attack bar proportion to the enemy's lost HP. So he's just going to turn cycle more. So he's going to definitely crit. And then he's going to... Interesting. And turn cycle. So Logan does turn cycling as well. So these things are just meant to turn cycle a lot. Interesting. Oh, speaking of Logan, Logan also gets a buff next. Push through. Effect added attack is guaranteed to land as a critical hit. Dark Neostone Fighter. Attack ignores all effects that resist death. Okay. So I think that the Water Neostone could be a little bit more fun to use. Nobody uses him anyway, but it's just I have him built. He's kind of fun every so often. I think he's a little bit underrated. The Dark one, though, attack ignores all effects that resist death. So, like Triana. Like, you could use him with Triana, and you could just snipe something out with the Dark Neostone Fighter. Piercing Dagger. Fire and Dark, Relentless Strike. Recovers your HP by 30% of the inflicted damage for the Fire and Dark. So now the Fire and Dark ones have some sustain as well. That's not bad, because the Light one was super good. And then the Dark one, and the Fire one used to be a thing. The Fire one's not really, hasn't been a thing anymore. I wonder if the Fire one and the Dark one are going to see a little bit more... Wait a second. Also, let's think about this. The Water Ryu, like this Dark Neostone Fighter is also just going to be able to one-shot the Water Ryu. I mean, you have to get a defense break on him first, so then you'd be doing some kind of damage to him first. So, I mean, if he had enough damage to one shot without a defense break on him, for example. Or you could just Galleon that doesn't actually hit the water Ryu. I'm just saying. That would be an attack that ignores resist death. Okay. Same thing with like Miho. Same thing with like there's a few different things that do that. Garrow. So anyway, what else do we have? Dhalsim and Poison Master increased damage by 8%. That's what we needed on the Dhalsims and Poison Master. Water and Dark one increased damage by 7% for the Water and Dark Poison Master Dhalsims. That's not the one that we really needed to get buffed. Those are the good ones. Dhalsim Poison Master Water. Effect added changes to increase damage by 100% on turns acquired additionally. Passive effect increased damage by 100% if you get a turn without getting attacked for one turn. Gains another turn instantly after. Oh, what? I think it's just more instances that his passive actually activates the 100% extra damage. That's all I think that is for the Water Poison Master. But he was already good. He's already a good unit. So, it's 6:30 in the morning. I didn't sleep because I was waiting for the bounce patch, so I'm a little bit out of it, but I think that's basically what it is. So he can just, he can get that extra damage without needing the extra conditions. Wind Dhalsim, skill effect change, as is, spits a large flame to attack all enemies, 25% chance to stun, damage increases per continuous damage granted on the enemy, increases 50% if the enemy is under an ability effect, is now 70% to inflict continuous damage, 25% chance to stun, damage increases by 50. Okay, so it's fairly the same for the Wind Dhalsim. And it's the same thing for the Poison Master. He just is this. It looks like the same thing. Yeah, they just have it on two different lines for whatever reason. Okay, so the next one is not anything for the fire. Not anything. Oh, wait. The Fire Poison Master sucks. But they didn't put that one in there. Okay, and the light one. They didn't put the light. They buffed the one that didn't need the buff. Okay, so they buffed the water one, which didn't need a buff. And then they didn't buff the fire one or the light one, which needed buffs. Okay. Water Cowgirl, quick fire, inflicts continuous damage now, a 75% chance. For her, she does a lot of multi-hits that do continuous damage. It's good for dungeons and things like that. We were using a Necro back in the day. Back in the good old days. Cowgirl, Water, Fire, Dark, defeat Wild Dog, increases attack bar. When you land a critical hit, is now inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns. So that's a lot of continuous damage. So extra continuous damage with the skill 3 for the Water Cowgirl, and then Fire, Water, Dark, continuous damage. Instead of cycling attack gauge for skill 2, it's just continuous damage. So that's a lot more continuous damage. Fire Pixie. How many people are going to get pissed off in 5 seconds? Skill effect change, inflicts great damage by blowing up continuous damage on the enemy. Inflicted damage increased by 50% for each effect. Is now decreases duration time of continuous damage granted on the target by 1 turn each. Inflicts additional damage equivalent to continuous damage. So if I'm reading this correctly, it doesn't necessarily blow up all the continuous damage anymore. It just decreases some of the continuous damage and then does additional damage based on that I'm literally just kind of basically reading the same thing again. We're gonna have to test this out because that might be kind of disappointing. Let's see how exactly the mechanics work. But that might be disappointing to all the people that are running dot teams. Again, we'll see. I just want to make sure that I'm reading it correctly, and I may be a little bit off on how I'm thinking about it, but it doesn't blow up all the continuous damage. It just decreases it and then does extra damage based on whatever it's based on the extra continuous damage. Okay, and then the Fire, Water, Light Cannon. That's the last buff. The last buff is them buffing. That's a slap in the face. That's a slap in the face to have they're buffed the wrong Cannon Girls. They buffed the wrong Dhalsims. Where's the Fire Art Master nerf? That was the thing that needed to be nerfed the most. That's the thing they didn't nerf. Wild Shot attacks random enemies 8 times. Each attack has a 50% chance to weaken the defense for 2 turns. Is now attacks all enemies several times, decreasing their defense for 2 turns, 50% chance each. Up to 8 times the number of enemies is less. Okay, so it seems like a more reliable AoE is what it is, but that's not... it's not the one that needed to get buffed, though. It's the wind one that people were complaining about, not the 8-hit defense break That's not the one people were complaining about, though. People were complaining about the wind cannon. They gotta be trolling us. They gotta be trolling us on purpose. They buffed the cannon girls, but not Christina. So Christina's the one that needed to be buffed. They buffed the other ones. Do you guys see why I'm always pissed off at COM2US? Like, it's almost like they're like doing it just to be like, hey guys, F you. That's why I feel like they're doing that on purpose. How long do we have to say to buff? Oh, never mind. But on the bright side, they buffed the water bison to be 3% less garbage than he is right now. So get excited for that. Wow. Okay, Light Occult Girl. I mean, they did buff and nerf some of the things that need to get buffed and nerfed. But anyway, Light Occult Girl, Awakening Effect changed, increased accuracy is now increased attack speed, which is nice for a stripper. Accuracy is nice for a stripper as well. But Phoenix, Light Phoenix effect, Awakening Effect change, increased resistance by 25%, now increases accuracy. So he makes more sense now. Oh, okay. Yeah, don't worry, we're almost done. Both of those are improvements. So, stats of some monsters will be changed. All Phoenixes will have increased speed. So, Pernas and things like that will be 114. So Pernas and Perna's got pretty high base speed. Tashar's got pretty high base speed. Sigmar's got low base speed. So Sigmar's is the 93, I believe. Sorry, maybe not 93. Sigmar's is 90 something. Sigmar's is low speed. Anyway, they have speed buffs on the Phoenixes, which is unexpected. Skill errors. So this is just so they didn't actually. I mean, they got a skill error on the snipers, but they didn't like nerf the fire because people were saying they like nerfed the fire sniper or whatever. There was a lot that should have gotten buffed though, isn't there? Oh, let's go take a look. I kind of want to see. Oh, wait, where is that? Why is that not there? Wait, where is that? Okay, apparently I can't find that list, so we'll have to see that later, because I did make a list of all the things that need to get buffed and nerfed and stuff. Some of these were a step in the right direction, but I feel like they nerfed things. Okay, like the strikers, the Ryus, the Shadow Claws, like the remove beneficial effects. It's not a guaranteed chance to remove beneficial effects. So now it's like it's already unreliable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So now just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Less, which is not fun. It's already you're already relying on RNG, which kind of is not fun. I think that I mean they addressed some of the things that need to be addressed, but not what needed to change on them. Like the Water Dragon Knight, like that's not the passive he needed. Where was Camila? Where is, there's a lot of things. Fire Art Master didn't even get touched. Shung Pung, you could argue that Shung Pung, I love the Fire Art Master, I love Shung Pung. Those are very strong units, right? If they didn't even touch the Fire Art Master, who's, in my opinion, the most broken of all normal element Nat 5s for RTA. I mean, again, not everything should revolve around RTA, but that's a very strong unit. He does a lot in one turn. And then they buffed Neostone Fighters and Jack-o'-lanterns. But nobody... I mean, I get the Wind Jack-o'-lantern needed a buff, right? I get that. I feel that's fair. But like the Fire Poison Master was garbage. They like it's almost like they're trolling us. Like the Wind Cannon Girl needed a buff. That's the only Cannon Girl that didn't get a buff. The Fire Dalsim, Fire Poison Master, was the one that needed a buff. That's the one that didn't get a buff. Where's Camila? Chow's buff was, I mean, a little bit better, but there's not like, wow, oh my god, Chow buff. Like, why? You try to be nice. Like, the Wind on Miyuji, I still probably won't. Like, maybe I'll try to use her, and then I'll probably be like, oh, okay, she's basically the same thing as before. Like, why was I excited? Like, this is the thing. I'm trying to be more realistic now, and usually I'm excited after the balance patch, but I'm like, why was I excited for this? Like, they nerfed some things that were strong, and then The only thing that I'm thinking after this balance patch is, okay, well, I guess I'll just wait another 4 months for the next one. So, this is not what we needed. Some of these things were steps in the right direction, but this is, again, this is just COM2US. This is too little too late. Too little too late. Balance patch too little too late is not enough. It's not the things that need to be done. And I think that maybe they think it's a joke. Maybe I'm just grumpy because it's like the basically dawn. And I've been waiting for this. But this is, again, this is too little, too late. Very disappointing. If they want to kill their game, this is a step in the right direction, COM2US. So congratulations. I guess they're looking to kill Summoner's War so that they don't have to work on it anymore. So maybe that's their game plan for 2021, 2022. Is like, oh, if we kill this, we can just work on other games like Golf Superstars, where the fun other games that they have in their lineup. Anyway, unfortunately, that's it for this one. I would love to say that there's more things that are getting buffed, and this is just like half a joke, and like, nah, they're gonna add like another 20 things April Fool's Day. But this is just how balance patches work. Is some of the things that got nerfed are like, okay, those are fair nerfs, but now we're just waiting for the units that we want to get buffed again because it's not the right buffs and it's not good enough and they're not the right units. And maybe I was too, maybe I was too jump the gun in saying like they were trying or they were stepping in the right direction at the beginning, because it's just another one that's just not what we needed, right? So anyway, that's it for this one. Unfortunately, I will see you as always. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I being too much of a jerk? Probably yes, but I'm probably also have a point as well. Anyway, that's it for this one. See you as always in the next one.